And we're back.
It's been so long. Welcome to the
Yeah,
Bitching Dead. We're your hosts, Farid and Tara. We're a webcast from the minds at the Geekiary, and we're here to bitch about stuff and things because somebody has to do it. If you haven't seen the entirety of Tales of the Walking Dead season 1, oh my
yep.
God, please tell me there's not going to be a season 2. Please turn back now. We're not responsible for any spoilers you hear. We did warn you.
Please remember that this is recorded live, so we aren't exactly sure what's going to happen. Please forgive us for any technical difficulties or accidental or intentional swears. You can join the conversation using the hashtag #TheBitchingDead.
We would like to remind all of you that the views expressed on this webcast are those of the hosts as individuals and do not necessarily represent the Geekiary, who none of them even watch The Walking Dead anymore, or the webcast itself as a whole.
Oh.
Okay, so I hear we have some news, and I'm glad you're keeping up with it because I'm certainly not.
Oh, there's a lot of news. So coming back to you, wondering if this is going to be like the only a one season thing. I mean, if you go by the ratings, it's probably going to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
the ratings are so bad for Tales of the Walking Dead. Now, the first episode ended up getting like 500,000 live viewers, which, okay, it's respectable, kind of. And then episode 5 ended up getting only 0.38 million live views. So I'm really interested in seeing what the finale is going to get. But yeah, these are some bad numbers, very bad numbers.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I don't think there is enough anything. There's not enough anything about The Walking Dead for people to care to watch some weird spin-off show that's about characters that
Yeah, we don't
other
know.
than Alpha, ugh, you
Mhm.
know. So yeah, all
I
right.
mean,
Well,
I wrote it in one of my notes for the first episode, but I do feel that if this spin-off came out like 5 or 6 years ago, people would have been more excited when The Walking Dead actually had people
oh
watching it.
yeah, for sure.
They would have been going crazy. They would be like, "Oh wow, The Walking Dead is doing something artsy. It's doing something different." Like no one cares. No one cares. So coming to the rest of the news, I have a lot of bullet points. Okay, yeah, I've been keeping up. It's been a while. So the third and final part of The Walking Dead season 11, it's going to air on October 2nd, and it will end in November. Finally, finally.
I mean, The Walking Dead is ending. That doesn't mean everything else is ending, but yes, it will. Thank God, thank God. And
Yeah.
I really thought that it wasn't coming back on until for some reason I think October 23rd in my mind.
Yeah, it's
But
like,
apparently no, it's like October 2nd.
yep, yep. It's like only 2 weeks away, basically.
Oops. Oops. Uh, so yeah. Uh,
Mhm.
that show will end sometime in November. We won't end though because there's more to talk about, right?
Right. Okay, so the Rick Grimes and Michonne spin-off has been announced. It's supposed to launch sometime in 2023. So I'm like, okay, so those Rick Grimes movies that he was going to get, those 3 movies that he was going to get, I guess the producers were like, you know what, we aren't going to waste any money on that, basically.
I so the movies are gone entirely?
Yep, we aren't getting movies. We are getting
Okay.
a Rick and
Okay.
Michonne spin-off series instead. No movies that were going to be shown in theaters, as
I
far as I can
mean,
remember.
who was gonna ever pay this? Again, if they'd done like a between seasons movie when The Walking Dead was still popular, like the X-Files did that, right?
Yep.
They probably would have been able to do something. But at this point,
No one cares. Even if you were going to get free tickets, no one was, no one's going to show up.
So the next piece of news is something I'm also very excited about. Fear the Walking Dead is ending as well. So what season did we just finish?
Season 7.
Okay, we did, because I was like, shoot, was it season 7 or season 6? Because hearing that Fear the Walking Dead is ending with season 8, I was like, oh no, God, do we still have 2 more seasons to get
No, only one more season. But yeah, Morgan ruined that show, and it's ending too, which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing. I'm just gonna zip my mouth on that. Just
They brought Madison back to basically get a bump in viewership, but yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because they ruined Madison.
Yeah,
She wasn't the same Madison we were familiar with. Like, no, I don't want her. I don't like her.
Yep. However, there's still more Walking Dead shit coming out.
Still more. So we got to find out that apparently, allegedly, according to Entertainment Weekly, the Maggie and Negan spin-off show has been retitled so it won't be called the Isle of the Dead anymore. It's going to be called the City of the Dead.
Okay.
So I guess they'll be like, instead of having those two go to some sort of an island, they'll be sticking to a city.
Okay. All right. So they're not going to Manhattan, because that was the last thing I remember hearing.
Yeah. And apparently it's going to be a city this time. And according to Jeffrey Dean Morgan, they are doing a lot of cool stuff with rats in the city. And I'm like, no.
The rats?
Yeah.
Like rats?
Yeah. Zombie rats.
No, but animals don't turn into zombies in this world. At least not as far as we've seen. They all just get killed.
Maybe those rats are infected. Like if they bite you,
yeah,
you'll turn into a zombie.
Yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
Because the people are all dead that can do that. I mean, maybe not all, but that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
Imagine like the CGI swarm of rats like moving through the city, and Negan and Maggie having to like run away from them. Like that's going to happen. We're going to get a swarm or a sea of rats just moving through the city.
I listen, like, honestly, I was never super into a Negan and Maggie spinoff, but I could have gotten behind it for like a short run when it was like an no, I don't know. I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm over it. So
another spinoff. Yeah, there's another spinoff. Yeah, more spinoffs. So apparently, we got to find out that the Daryl spinoff is going to be set in Europe. So the premise is that Daryl is going to like wake up one day and he's going to find himself in Europe. He has no recollection of how he got there, and he needs to get back home. And I have a feeling that the fact that this spin-off is going to be set in Europe, I think it's going to connect to what happened in that post-credit scenes for The World Beyond, where apparently zombies in Europe are like faster and more aggressive. I think that's what's going to happen. So I guess
is that some sort of commentary on Americans being
faster, not better. Faster.
No, I know, but is that some sort of maybe not fat is the right word, but is that some sort of commentary on Americans being lazy?
I guess so, maybe. But yeah, faster and more aggressive. And I think that The Walking Dead is going to turn into like what? Black Summer? Like or Z Nation? Like, why?
Because Black Summer is more
better,
popular. Yeah. It's more better. It's more better.
It's more better.
More popular because it's more popular because it's more better.
I guess that's what's going to happen. They're going to have zombies that run because I guess in a Daryl show, I guess they will be giving us action sequence, action sequence, action sequence.
And it's just
Daryl,
gonna be
Daryl running from zombies on his bike. I guess that's what's going to happen.
How is his bike gonna get there? Does his bike also wake up not knowing where it is? His bike is actually an amorphous being with a mind of its own, and his bike is like, oh!
Tales of the Walking Dead season 2. They have done weird stuff. It could happen.
They only did weird stuff with like 2 episodes, which we'll get into in a minute. But yes, so I mean, do we want to just go ahead and get into that shit?
Yep. So, Tales of the Walking Dead, season 1, episode 1, Evie and Joe. What did you like about it?
The lamb survived. That's all I got. I mean, I love Terry Crews, so it was hard for me to hate this episode because I love Terry Crews, but also, what even happened in this episode? The lamb survived. I'm happy about that. Skipper the lamb.
Okay, yeah, that's it. I have nothing to. I didn't like anything about this episode. Okay, so least favorite moments.
Fuck you for the dog.
Right,
honestly.
right.
Like the dog was. They actually showed it in the sort of montage where the dog was having trouble walking up the steps, right? And then, of course, at the last point, he had to carry him up the steps. And to be honest, like for me, that hit home because I've had a dog that got old like that, where I absolutely had to carry him up and down the steps to go to the bathroom. And I guess like cool that he got a heroic end, but I think there should have been a warning. I think there should always be a warning at the beginning of the episode if there's going to be some sort of violent animal death. Like they warn us for everything else, and I am totally behind warning us for all the other bad things that happen, but that should be a warning too. Just saying.
And also when it involves like animals that are like actual domestic pets, like yeah. Right?
I mean, it's always like listen, if it's them, slaughtering a pig for food or shooting a deer in the woods, that's listen, like I grew up on a farm. I know that I can be okay with the obvious, these are the reasons an animal needs to die, but we've seen way too many dogs and horses get murdered in these shows. And I just I guess because we've been a little bit spoiled by Daryl having dog and dog not getting murdered by walkers yet. And P.S. again, dog dies, I will riot. But this was a named dog, Gilligan, and he was Joe's best friend. And Joe was like, the dog got old and it's the apocalypse and he's carrying him up and down stairs and he's like frustrated that the dog pees in the bed because he's old, but he's not like angry with him, and it's like, oh, everything about this is so sweet and I love all of this, and then the dog just dies.
That's what I feel like the dog dying, they basically like fridged the dog.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right? To get Joe out of that bunker. They're like, hey, we took your last friend. You need to go now.
I hated it. I hated it so much. Like there were dumb things in this episode, but
also his defenses were lacking. I was like, really? That's it? You don't have like a fence around the bunker door? Like, what's happening? Like, do something, build something.
I mean, he had like pitchforks that sprung up out of the ground. And listen, that's not completely unintelligent, but for somebody who has a bunker like that, it feels like a little bit lax.
Right. Someone who's supposed to be like prepared for the end of the world. Like, what's going on? Where's the fence? Where's the ditch? What are you doing in your free time?
Yeah, exactly. What were you doing? Like, listen, I get not having those things before all this shit started happening. Like, you've got the bunker, you're just prepared for some sort of end of the world. But then the end of the world comes and you know what it is, and you don't have any additional defenses. Cool guy.
Nope, nothing. I was like, you're lazy. Your laziness killed your dog. That's it.
Mm.
And also that villain, like that Harley Quinn knockoff, I was like, really, we're doing this now? Bitches be crazy. Like, where are we going with this?
Why did she have to have the makeup? Like,
Harley Quinn, as I said.
exactly. Like, she could have actually just been a person who had clearly, you know, gone off the deep end. But no, we also have to have her put on this makeup, the white face, you know? Yeah, like, actually, I didn't even make that connection, but like, bet you've been watching too many cartoons.
Yeah. She's been reading like Batman comics over and over again. In that book.
Lord.
Just sitting.
Oh.
That would have made more sense if they actually showed like some Batman comics lying around.
Instead of her just listening to that same, God, what was the song? It was like a Barry Manilow song or something like that. No, was it Barry Manilow? Whatever. It was some oldies song, like over and over and over again. Okay, girl. You do you, I guess.
She should have came out like in a CEO wig because she's been listening to music and she went crazy. Like a CEO wig, hiding her face.
That would have been better than the fucking white face makeup. Whatever. What the fuck was that? Other gripes on what the fuck?
Gripes and other WTF. Yeah, I'm like, why create a show featuring characters we will never see again or who aren't connected to the Walking Dead lore? Like,
yep.
Why?
Yep. No, I
actually would have liked
agree.
an episode. Remember that one guy that just got kidnapped in a bus or a van? Remember? That black guy with the glasses who just got kidnapped?
Oh, yeah, Heath.
Where's Heath's story? Like, bring Heath back if you're going to do this.
Heath is better than this show, honestly. Honestly, he's too hot for this show. He's too hot for any of The Walking Dead, honestly. Kudos to Heath for getting out when he could.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, for me, I don't know. Like, first of all, this isn't the only time in this webcast that I'm going to bitch about them coming up with a different name for walkers, because now it's the toe tags. The toe tags. But yeah, also like you said, and this kind of piggybacks onto what you said, I wanted ends to these stories. I guess I'll just have to assume that Evie and Joe died eventually, unless they went back to his prepper hole. Still think they should have just stayed in Harley Quinn's prepper hole. By the way, hers was way better than his.
Yeah, that was way better. I would have stayed there, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you just like?
Yeah.
I mean, I get like, oh, the whole like theme of we should live our lives, but also, no, like maybe
no.
don't. Maybe don't. Maybe stay in this amazing prepper hole. They have edibles. You can just live the rest of your life like chilling out, no big deal, eating some edibles. I mean, Joe might not want to, but Evie's clearly a connoisseur.
Like, yeah, playing with your little lamb that's arrived. Like, stay at that home. Why are you going out?
It made no sense.
Show up in that Michonne and Rick Grimes spinoff.
If they show up in any spinoff. But honestly, though, like, both of them were clearly badass. So, like, if anybody is going to show up in a spinoff, I guess I would want it to be them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
that's all I have to say about that. Like, they should have just
They
gone
might
back into.
appear. I mean, they are. Yeah, they are big enough names, right? Terry
Yeah,
Crews and Olivia Munn. Like,
yeah.
yeah, they could cameo in a spinoff. Who knows?
I would listen. I'll watch anything with Terry Crews in it. I love him so much. Shoot, I saw him giving an interview in a random, like, I was walking down the street at San Diego Comic-Con, and it wasn't at the convention, it was outside of it, and I look in and there's Terry Crews sitting with some woman, and I'm like, oh shit, that's Terry Crews, and I take pictures and I sent them to our Bitching Dead chat, and you're like, you or Becca was like, oh, that's Alpha, and I was like, oh shit, you're right.
You're right. Some woman.
I don't care. Some woman. I don't care. There's Terry Crews.
Terry Crews and some woman.
Does anybody not love him? Honestly, like the fact that he was in the show, it's like,
mm-hmm.
yeah, you can do better, my dude. But
He
I'm glad you were.
He pops up in he pops up in a lot of stuff. Terry Crews. I think he's game for anything, basically.
I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
So, episode 2.
Oh, yeah, episode number 2, the best episode. I love this episode. I love that.
I loved and hated it. Right? Like, so episode 2, Blair and Gina.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time I was watching this, I was like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? And then, like a third of the way through, maybe a little bit more, because it takes a bit to get going, I realized it's some Groundhog Day nonsense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah. I was like, okay, I can get behind this in the fact that it's different. I really, really loved, I think it was the second or third time they got brought back to life after, the gas tank explodes and stuff. And the secretary, Blair, is like just going off about how much everybody hates their boss Gina. Like, and your clothes, how are you wearing that many neck accessories? Because I was thinking that the entire time, like, why is she wearing so much? I would feel strangled. And then she says, like, we work at an insurance company, our lives suck. And talking about being selfish is one of the first things I said. So you didn't even listen to the rest of it, did you? Because she goes on and on about how selfish Gina is. And at the end, Gina is like, I don't remember what Gina responds with, but it's like, clearly she wasn't listening. And so that whole exchange, I was like, A++, love it, love you, Blair. Get your shit, girl. Love you. I loved and hated this episode because there's nothing in world that makes me believe that this is a thing that it's Groundhog Day, right? Like, this doesn't exist. Like, sorry, I had to turn some lights on. It's getting very dark in my room. So yeah, like, yeah. I loved the episode, but I also hated it for that, like, why, hate is a strong word. No,
I actually love the idea of, like, these two mutant women getting to redo their life, and whenever they die, they are able to survive just a bit longer each time. Like, these two mutants just walking around in the world of The Walking Dead.
So what were, my favorite moments were all just like specific lines, but what were your favorite moments?
My favorite moment was like the difference when the creative team allowed these actors to actually act. Like, I actually liked both actresses. They are well-known actresses, and the fact that this episode allowed them to actually act, I really liked that. I felt invested. And I also like the fact that Blair brought her fiancé, like, wondering why he didn't help her in any of the scenarios. I was wondering about that. I was like, Where is Blair's fiance during all of this?
Mm.
Why is he still in the car? Does he not love her enough? So I like the fact that they addressed that. And again, the mutant thing. I mean, the final episode, I guess they gave us magic and curses. So I guess mutants can exist too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, listen, I know that this is in a way a fantastical world because or maybe a horrific world is the better way to put it. Because there's fucking people coming back from the dead, but I just I don't know, like I really really love the idea of this episode. I think this could be a movie or something on its own outside of this universe, right? Like I love the idea of
Mhm.
it. I love the execution. I thought the acting, I mean, listen, eh, both of them, Parker Posey and oh god, I can't remember who played Blair, but she's a comedian. Like they were great.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
the acting was amazing, and the story was good too. But I also and I guess I didn't look into this, and I meant to. So they blow up the tanker one last time by like on purpose at the end. Or well, no, they don't blow up the tanker on purpose. They're just dumb. They just try to set fire to the walkers on the lower
Under the
highway
bridge.
while they're on
Yeah.
the overpass, and then they don't realize that the flame will probably travel up the gas hose and blow up the tanker. Like, girls, how many times have you lived this scenario and you don't understand that if you set fire to the gas, that the gas hose is spilling out, that it won't boop. But I mean, I is that something that we ever saw any sort of reference to in the in like in season one or anything? Like was or at any season, was there ever I never looked into that. Because if that honestly, if that was something that they're they rode by at some point or drove by or whatever, I wish I had had time to look into it, because that was the one thing where I was like, listen, if they actually rode by or drove by or saw this blown up tanker at one point, then I will at least give them
I guess they did.
extra
I guess
kudos.
they probably did.
Yeah. Oh no. Now I have to go look it up.
Yeah, I think in the earlier seasons there's probably a scene where there's like a blown up gas tanker on an overpass. I think there is. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Now I got now I really have to find that because I need to. So, what were your least favorite moments in this episode?
I really like this episode. Come on. I didn't have like a least favorite moment. I just liked it. I just accepted it for what it was, and I was like, yep, these two are still walking around, dying because again they're dumb. They keep on dying, and they're
Yeah.
still out there, all the
Yeah,
way into season 11. They're still out there somewhere.
I don't think I had least favorite moments. I just had like the constant like what the fuck is going on, which also is just a general like gripe and what the fuck is going on. And like I said, I actually liked this episode when I really think about it overall. But again, I can't get over the fact that this type of shit doesn't actually happen in this world or any world in, so in the end it's all nonsense anyway. And that's why I'm totally behind the idea and theme of it, but only as like its own standalone thing. Like, give me this as like
Mhm.
a Netflix movie. There are so many fucking shitty Netflix movies. Give me this as a Netflix movie or an Amazon Prime
Like
movie
the
or
concept
something.
itself, like you're in this, yeah, you're in this like zombie filled world, and you keep on repeating this thing over and over again. Like
Yeah.
that's a very interesting concept. Whoever came up with it, like points to
Yeah, yeah.
you.
I I hate that it was set in this world because I think, like, I still liked it. Honestly, it was my favorite of all the 6 episodes, but I think that
Mhm.
it would have felt more poignant. Now poignant isn't that makes it sound too important. It would have interested me more if it was its own thing, right? Like I and also again, the acting was fucking great. Like when Parker Posey and fuck, I'm never gonna remember the actress who when Gina and Blair are just like they just collapse in the break room of their shitty insurance office and they're just like
You're
eating
right.
Cheetos from the vending machine or whatever, and they're like, dude, what the fuck? And then they go back out and Gina helps Blair escape sort of, and then or she stays in the office and she like turns away her fiance and she goes outside and she's like, yeah, just eat me. I'm like, oh, there's too much time left in this episode. I don't know. This was a really cool concept that I wish hadn't been part of this show.
Yeah. And they like try to explain it away with this like shared delusion type thingy. I'm like, no, that doesn't explain anything,
No,
right?
no, no. And also what happened to Blair's nieces and like these are the only like I mean other than I okay, that's not even true. I do want to know what happened to Joe and Evie only because they have a cute little lamb and I love Terry Crews. But like other than them, like these are the only characters I actually gave a shit about because I think part of it also was that this is the very beginning of things, right? And it was
Yeah.
kind of funny to me seeing like this is how an insurance company would handle it. And she's like, sell more policies and just being, kind of a bitch. I loved it.
I
And
mean,
also Parker
that's
Posey is
exactly how they would handle this.
yep. And Parker Posey is just I don't know if you've watched Lost in Space, but she's so great in Lost in Space. And this was almost like a it was a good like recreation of that character. Like maybe she's just bad at being a baddie. I don't know, but then she turned out like cool in the end, and I don't know. I don't know. I have like so many conflicting thoughts about this episode. It was my favorite of the 6 for sure because it made me
Yep,
think.
the favorite episode. Like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. But that also brings us to episode 3, D.
D. D. I mean, staying on a steamboat. Okay, I get it. Away from land, that's a good
Mhm.
idea. But how loud are steamboats?
Um,
Wouldn't the zombies like follow the steamboat along the
I
river?
I don't know that the sound they make to run is loud, but they were playing music and turning on lights and shit. Like that's the stuff that's problematic. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
but also because they were in the swamp, uh they were on a river, but it was swamp all around them. And I think that was probably their goal. Like, okay, well, we're in the swamp. Like all the muck and everything is gonna slow
Yeah, slow them down. There are
walkers
alligators out there
down.
as well. Alligators like eat walkers.
Did they call them something different in this episode? No, they didn't. I don't think so. I'm looking because
No,
I know
nope.
there were several different names in this little series, but apparently not in this one. Uh so I think it was a good idea. I don't think steamboats themselves are super loud because it's basically just an engine and paddles, right? And also the swamp all around them kind of tangling up the walkers, whatever. But I mean, I don't know, like favorite moments, honestly, I was loving that steamboat life. Brooke was not smart enough to really vet the people she allowed on the steamboat, But I was loving that Steamboat life. I was loving that she was like, let's all just. First of all, when she put on the pants and the vest and like I was like, I could have cared less
Right?
about you in a dress, girl. But right now, you are a 10 out of 10 in my book. I mean, and yeah,
Yeah.
I
Least
have
favorite
it.
moments.
So least favorite moments. I don't know. Alpha is the worst, and like, but honestly, Lydia could not be more annoying. Like, Lydia was so fucking annoying.
She really is. So annoying. So annoying. Yeah. Also, like other gripes, I ended up writing down that, you know what, Elsa was a memorable villain in the comics because of what she did and what the
Mm,
Whispers did. Like, they killed off a lot of people, and that shook the readership. They were like, what the heck just happened? And again, as far as the show is concerned, like, no one interested in learning more about her, especially when she's dead in the actual show. And she, like, died, what, 2 seasons ago? Like, no one
More
cares
than that,
anymore.
3 maybe? Yeah.
Right? She's been dead. No one
Yeah.
cares about Alpha anymore. And also, like, if you're going to focus on Alpha, like, stop focusing on Alpha. Give us an episode that explores how the Whispers were created in the first place. When everything was being destroyed, who came up with the idea of creating the Whisperers?
And I guess
Show us that.
it's been a really long time since I read the comics. Okay. So for me, I was like, honestly, do we really need more Alpha backstory in general? I rule. But uh I thought that she started the Whisperers. Am I wrong there? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
In the
Because I
comics, she
didn't.
did. I think in the comics, she's the
Okay.
one. She's the one who kind of started the Whispers.
Yeah. And so, like, we already got
That's
some of
who
her
she's supposed to be.
backstory in an actual Walking Dead episode, which, ugh, again, like, we did not need more backstory. And I mean, I get what they're trying to do here, but nobody cares. Like, I really feel like the people who create these shows don't understand how much people don't care. And honestly, the viewership numbers prove that. They don't understand how much people don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And again, do we really need more Alpha backstory? And okay, so I'm right there. I thought
No.
that Alpha started the Whispers, and now she just kind of stumbled into them, and they already existed, and it had something to do with her, with Lydia being like, "I hear the Fae talking to me." It's like, no, no, and also, like, how did they end up on this boat? They're on a boat. How did they end up? I love the Steamboat idea. It didn't need Alpha in it. It didn't. It could have
Mm-hmm.
been its entire, like, I would have enjoyed this more as its own story without Alpha in it. Period.
I mean, Alpha could have made a cameo or some kind. It could have been like Brooke and the other characters. This she wasn't able to wet that bartender correctly. The steamboat, everyone dies. She comes to shore, and that's where she is captured by the Whispers or something.
Well, and also, I guess we're like, Brooke is still alive somewhere, possibly.
Yeah, I
Because
actually thought that she was going to die.
Alva sliced her face with a dirty ass knife. So granted, she could have died of like sepsis or something, but like, she could be alive out there
Mhm.
somewhere. But why would they ever, like, why would we ever
I mean,
care?
Brooke could have been the one who created the Whisperers, right? Her face got slashed in the fight in the steamboat.
Yeah.
She came up shore, and because I guess she's a bit vain or something, or she doesn't trust herself, she ends up wearing the face of her dead boyfriend. I don't know. Like, they could have done something there.
Yeah, the whole episode was just don't care. Don't care.
No one cares about Elsa. No one. Like
She's
the
dead.
actress, yeah, I like the actress. She was
Yeah, but
amazing in Harlots. She has this new show coming out, The Serpent Queen or something. Like, good for her. but I don't care for Elsa. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. So,
All right.
episode 4, Amy and Dr. Everett.
What were your favorite moments?
Nothing. Nothing.
I mean, I guess I like that they finally address what might happen to wild animals and or zoo animals that escaped. I did like that. Like, I'm an animal person, so that was
How
cool.
how did the zoo animal how did the zoo animals escape from the cages?
I mean, to be honest, if I was a
Give us an
person,
episode. Give us an episode about that, right? Right?
well, actually,
A person just going into zoos and freeing them.
actually,
Give us an
I
episode about that.
my zombie book that I wrote a billion years ago, How to Start Living in the Zombie Apocalypse by T.L. Walker.
Hmm.
And at one point they end up at a zoo and they do address that they let the animals out. There were people who were in the zoo when shit started going down and they were like, we have no way to take care of these animals, and they just released them. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of
Give
what
us an
I
episode
assumed this
about that.
was.
Where's that episode? Where's that episode?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess Ezekiel worked in a zoo, right? So we know he kept his tiger, whose name I'm blanking on right now.
Hmm.
But if he went back for her or was there for her, like, that's not to say he didn't. I think escaped is maybe a bad word. And I think that was the word that the doctor used, but I don't think
Everett
escape.
Hughes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right word. Probably. I mean, if that
Someone
was me,
has to. Yeah, someone
shit.
has
If
let them
I was
out.
just a
Yeah.
person, the post-apocalypse, and I stumbled upon a zoo, I'd be like, "How can I let these animals out?" And I'd be like axing all the locks on their cages and just be like,
Right?
"Go
Right?
free,
Uh,
survive, please, hopefully."
and getting trampled in the process.
Nah, 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 nah. Least favorite moments.
It was a boring episode. That's it. I,
Yeah,
I did not enjoy this episode. It was boring.
yeah, it was, yeah, same. My least favorite was, I don't know. It was all just like boring and kind of pointless since Amy died.
Yeah.
So
The writers tried to do this entire thing, this philosophical thing between life and death, and caring about the dead and caring about life. And I'm like, no one cares. You
and
guys aren't
Amy
skilled
died.
enough.
Like, if
Yeah.
she had survived, I probably would have been like 10% more inclined to be like, this episode wasn't stupid as fuck. But she
Yeah.
died.
Amy
So
died. She died. Hmm.
and also other gripes of what the fuck was. So we both have. So the doctor, what was the doctor calling the dead?
Homo mortis.
Yeah, and Amy's calling them chompers. So we get 2 new names in one.
What happened? Homo mortis.
I just that was my only other gripe on what the fuck
These
because
writers,
otherwise
they spend, yeah. These writers spend more time trying to come up with these new names than they do actually writing a good episode.
like at some point we need to actually compile all the names because we definitely have them in all of our documents from the many years that we've been doing this shit
Mhm.
for like 5 years now. BT dubs. Can you believe that shit? We have been covering these
Wow.
stupid shows for 5 years. And how many different names have we had? And I keep thinking they can't come up with another name. And then they do.
The names are
So
the Walking Dead. Coming out of the door one by one.
oh my god, stop.
You're all three of us. We're trying to keep the door locked, and then it's just like zombie hands. They just continue coming out of the door. That's what it is.
Oh Lord. Okay, so your other gripes and what the fuck moments.
Drones are loud as heck. Why weren't the Homo mortis following the drone around? It made no sense to me. And also, why did Hannah run when Amy came to help? Why did she run away
I I think she
without
was just
talking to
running
Amy?
away in general from the walkers. I don't
But she
know.
knew
I
Amy. She knew Amy.
yeah.
Amy helped her. Like, stay back, talk to her or something. But no.
Honestly, the fact that that fucking alligator or crocodile, I couldn't get a glimpse of it because there was a difference between the mouths, right, on alligators and crocodiles, but assuming it so it would be an alligator in the US usually, but it could have been a crocodile escaped, quote unquote, from a zoo that attacked the walker. And I was just like, oh God, really? Like, this is so stupidly meta after all of his, like, let nature do what it will, blah, blah, blah. Like, and I guess like my only other gripe and what the fuck moment was like, do we think that he actually tagged Amy to see what she would do?
He
Because
probably did.
I think so too. Because he was struggling
He
with it.
probably
You could
did.
see that he was like unsure about it. Like,
I mean,
but
he tagged the walker that he was kind of close to, right? Because he knew that
yeah,
person.
yeah,
He was his like
but
friend. So I guess in
yeah,
order to, I think he thinks of Amy as a friend. I think he's going to tag her, keep an eye on her.
yeah. I think he wants to know if she's gonna
Mhm.
take care of the pack. That was also a weird fucking reveal. Like, so
No,
apparently there are walkers that will leave like uneaten bodies for the pack. Like, is that legit or are they just I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to
I
care.
think Amy kind of called him out on it, right? She's like, "You're
Yeah.
just making this stuff up." And also, no one in the
I mean,
community could outrun a herd, even when Amy warned them. Like the entire community died. There was a guy in a truck. Why didn't he like drive the truck away?
how did he die? Maybe it was the whisperers.
No
Who
idea.
knows? Ugh, so many unanswered questions from this stupid episode. Okay, so episode 5, Devon. I just what are your favorite like my I have so many complaints about this that I can't even start. What are your favorite moments or do you have any?
I I disliked this episode so much. I disliked it. I was like, I don't want to watch this. Don't make me watch this.
Yes. Yes. I felt the same way. As I was watching it, I was like, "Ugh, why why do I have to do this? I
Right?
hate this. I hate you guys right now." I don't know, like, I guess, like, quote, unquote, "favorite moments." Justice in the end, I guess? Like, come on, Devon. They really shouldn't listen to you as he's, like, spouting off about, like, "Oh, don't kill the kid. Duh, duh." This kid would very possibly, probably continue to definitely continue
Yep.
to be a problem if they just, like, live and let live. So again, justice in the end is the only thing I could think about. Least favorite moments.
The entire episode, like the writers really tried to do something,
I
having
feel
like a
like I
single
tried
black
so much
guy
harder than you on this.
enter this, right? Right? This the single black guy stuck in this community of white people. Like the writers were trying to do something there that the white people don't trust the black guy, and I'm like, no, no.
I just, every time Devon had flashbacks, I was like, please stop. I hate this. That's it. I do have gripes and what the
Again,
fucks though.
yeah, I'm like, why? Why give us a murder mystery episode? Like, why? What's the purpose? Why?
For me, it was more stop trying to be artsy. All of this, like, oh, let's set an episode near Montreal and have it be all like French film-esque. Because that's what this was.
And their accents, I was
like, get the
when they
fuck
were trying
over
to speak in
yourselves.
English.
Get the fuck over yourselves, Walking Dead.
Right.
You are not an artsy French film. You could never even possibly. No, just no. Like, and the thing is, like, the story that they were telling actually wasn't bad, right? But the way they
Mm-hmm.
portrayed it was bad. Like, overly artsy and French film, like horror plus French film at, like, man, just set it literally anywhere and have it be a murder mystery, but not with all of this fucking floof around it. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to be artsy. Like, listen, you won with episode 2. You won because that episode was nonsensical in this world, but it was so fucking well done. But this was just like, well, now we're going to do it, but serious. And it was so goddamn bad. It was so goddamn bad. And it was, I also kept the actor who played Devon. I was like, why is he so familiar? He's from The Boys.
Yeah, he's the one that like runs very fast.
Yeah. And I mean, he did a good job. He did a really good job. Like, I mean, I guess, like, if I'm going to say something good about this episode, he was great. The rest of it, fuck all. Stop. Just stop.
I'm just like thinking about it now. The way that you said that they were trying to do this more serious. Like, if episode 2 was serious, it would have been bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But also, stop trying to be like you're a French fucking film. Like, you don't know French film, Walking Dead. I do. So stop. Like, not a film major, not a director, nothing like that. No fucking French film better than you do, and just don't. Just don't. Please. Ugh. All right, so
if it were up to me, I would have done an episode where there were preppers, but preppers in the sense that these kids like grew up playing like shooting games where they shoot zombies and the undead, and they feel that they're ready for the zombie apocalypse, and it would have been comedic, but yeah, all of those kids would have died, but it still would have been comedic. They would have tried to handle this by playing by the rules, the same rules that they used in the game, but it wouldn't have worked. But yeah, I would have like give us comedy if you're going to do this. Like, give us absurd, give us comedy. Like, don't be artsy. Like, no.
They try so hard. How many times have they tried to be artsy, and every single time we're just like, hand like, hands on head, please stop. Like, this is not what you are meant for.
So yeah, the final episode number 6, La Donna, which I didn't dislike it. I kind of liked it. Again, I kind of connected it to what happened in episode number 2. Like, you already gave us like these 2 mutant ladies. So I was okay with magic and curses existing. A haunted house. Okay, it exists. It works.
I have very few thoughts on this episode. I actually tried rewatching it because I was like, I watched it and I was like, I feel nothing, right? Like, they were trying to do horror, which you kind of already are, Walking Dead. So, you don't need to try. They try so hard. They just try so hard. And when they try so hard, that's when it fails. I they did a good job with this episode in a lot of ways, right? But I just what I kept expecting was that in the end it would be it would be I don't know. Like, I kept expecting in the end we would find out that it was all them just being under the influence of something or being mentally unstable. And in the end, it literally just ends. Like, I think that was my biggest problem with it, was it just cuts off. And because there are things that happen throughout it where when the boyfriend goes out to the gate and he thinks he's seeing one of the women that they knew, Maria, I think, who led
Maria,
them, who
told them about this house. Yeah.
Right. And
they
you
killed
know,
her.
The girlfriend comes out and she's like, no, what are you doing? There's either there's no one there or there's just a walker there. It's whoever it is, there's no one there or there's a dead person there, right? And I don't know. Like, I think that they could have done a really good job with this episode, and I think it just fell off.
Again, if you're going to give us a haunted house episode going more horror, then why not tell a story about that house? Remember that the house that Maggie was telling everyone about in the final season?
Yes, vaguely.
Right?
Vaguely.
Right? There was this house that Maggie ended up going to where they were keeping people in the attic. The entire family was crazy.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I do remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah, give us that. Try to connect these stories to the main story. Like, give us that. But no, we got a story about this couple who aren't necessarily good people, and they just saw their guilt be exploited by this curse, and they basically ended up killing themselves.
Yeah.
Again, the guilt literally killed them, basically. Killed both of them.
Also, I mean, general other cracks and what the fuck moments. Another new walker name. Now they're called sleepwalkers. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, we were in a horror movie, right? Like, my thoughts were any part of, or my thoughts were, was any part of that even real? Like, come on now, just show us they're hallucinating every bit of it for some reason or some shit. I guess we're supposed to assume that was the case, or I mean, did I miss something? And I think that the end all be all is that no, I didn't miss anything, and we aren't supposed to assume that they hallucinated it, that it was actually haunted, but
it was haunted because the way the episode ended with focusing on that picture of the woman that died, it was supposed to be haunted, basically.
Which just
magic exists.
Again, yeah,
magic exists in The Walking Dead.
Apparently, but like, I will only get behind episode 2. Sorry, not sorry. I will get behind episode 2 because it was enjoyable. I didn't hate this episode because, like, it was like, I mean, the mental taxation, right, on these two characters was done really fucking well. But I also am just like, no, like, the thing is, like, if magic was real, first of all, if haunting is real, then that kind of like downplays, or maybe not downplays, I don't know, that changes the whole aspect of the walkers in general. Like, I don't know. I didn't hate it. I think it, again, this could have been a good horror movie. But instead, it was a fucking episode of this show that probably never should have existed. So that's where I'm at, I guess.
But yeah, magic exists. Mutants exist. I mean, Judith was a freaking gremlin when she was a baby. So.
God, you're terrible.
So yeah, the supernatural exists.
Oh, poor Judith. So yeah, I mean, that's all I got for these episodes. Like,
A waste of time, basically. They should have just released episode number 2, submitted it for the Emmys, and called it a day. Like, here's this episode for fun.
I mean, honestly, I think I really would love to see episode number 2 as a movie, as a Netflix movie or something. Like, give me that in its own world, and I'm down with it. I'm totally, like, a Groundhog Day episode where there are also zombies. Like, why did it have to be this show? Everything else, fuck all. I don't care about it. I don't care.
Netflix, if you're watching this, like, steal that idea and give us a movie.
Yeah,
and
but
make it a
also
comedy.
with the same characters, though.
With the same characters, right?
Because the acting, I loved it. I loved Gina's little quips, or Blair's little quips. I loved, like, Gina was ridiculous because Parker Posey is somehow always ridiculous. Like, she is always ridiculous. Like, they could have, it's just that there so much could have been done with just that if it wasn't in this world. And that's what sucks.
What could have been?
Yeah, exactly. Oh. So do we have any theories other than apparently magic and mutants exist? Do we think we'll see any of these characters ever again? I think is the real question.
Possibly Terry Crews.
Possibly Brooke.
I
think that's a slight possibility, but it's a possibility.
But yeah, I think I can see Terry Crews wanting to be part of that Rick and Michonne spinoff. I can see it happening.
Well, I mean, and if he is, then Olivia Munn too, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm behind that. I am behind there being some sort of, reason why this show happened.
Yeah, these 6 episodes existed. Like, give us a reason.
I think that, unfortunately, episode 2, Blair and Gina, episode 6, which was
LaDonna.
Yeah, LaDonna. I don't know. I don't remember what the actual characters who lived throughout the episode. But I don't see them showing back up again. I guess the Dr. Everett could possibly show up again in something. But other than that, this is just kind of a lot of throwaway nonsense. Like, and I guess we should have well, Lydia's still alive.
Ugh.
Right? So
maybe she'll recognize Brooke. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of the key to Brooke possibly coming back. But other than that, this is just a lot of throwaway nonsense. I don't know what I call it. Unless I'm wrong. I mean,
season 2.
Yeah. I mean, based on the viewership numbers you said earlier,
that's not happening.
All right. Well, wrap up. Recommendations.
I would say I'm very excited for that upcoming Interview with the Vampire TV show on AMC. On AMC.
Wait, that's on AMC?
Yeah.
Shit. For some reason, I thought it was on like HBO or Showtime or something.
No, it's AMC.
Oh, well, okay. I'm less
But
excited
yeah,
about it now, to be honest.
I'm kind of excited about it. It's going to premiere on October 2nd. And Anne Rice, before she died, I think she was kind of part of the early stages of development, along with her, I think, along with her estate. And yeah, the creative team has confirmed that, yep, they're going full queer.
Do you know, you want to hear the weirdest thing? So they were filming Interview with a Vampire in New Orleans when we were there for our wedding in December. And Anne Rice died on the day we got married. That is so weird, right? Like, so fucking weird. In terms of recommendations, honestly, I gotta tell you, House of the Dragon, man. It's been
a very surprise, right? I wasn't
fun,
expecting. It's been a nice surprise because
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting something great from it, but it's so good.
I wasn't when I first, heard about it, but knowing that George R. R. Martin handpicked the showrunner, like, and that he's been super involved in the planning parts of it, not necessarily the writing, but the planning parts of it, and that they've also gone out of their way to include fandom. A lot of the big fandom podcasts that I follow, including Game of Owns and History of Westeros, got to literally interview George R. R. Martin because the people in charge of House of the Dragon set those interviews up. Was very, to me, very like they're including the fandom this time because they know they fucked up.
They know. Yeah.
So yeah, I it's been really good so far. We're 5 episodes in. Also, side plug, I'm doing a weekly podcast on it. It's called Hot D Takes. It is a little bit dirty and a lot funny. So, if you're interested, my Geek Saga podcast, it's literally just a podcast, not a webcast. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I think Google Play, whatever, all the things. But yeah, I've really been enjoying it. And I think part of it is also like they only have like an historical text sort of basis to work from, so they get to expand on that versus contracting the giant story that we got in the first 5 ASWAF books that they put into Game of Thrones, so yeah, I guess that's my suggestion. What about activities and cons? Are you doing anything?
No, nothing. No cons here. I think in Calgary, the biggest con is going to be like next year in April sometime. So yeah.
Which is exactly when my convention is, so. Unless there's some sort of crazy announcement that Red Dead guests are going to be at some, like a whole bunch of Red Dead guests are going to be at some convention in like not necessarily California, but some area that I can easily get to. I will only be doing Ice and Fire Con and Dragon Con next year. Maybe San Diego because I'm like right here, but
I'm excited for your new Ice and Fire Con thing because now you actually have new content, right?
Yes, yeah.
House of the Dragon.
Well, I mean, to be honest, like we had content in 2019, right? And then we didn't have the convention in 2020 and 2021 because COVID. And then this year, no new content, but we also had like all the rumors and stuff about House of the Dragon. So it's not like a super crazy new thing for us to have like real actual new content, but yeah, it'll hopefully be, a big push for us to have like, hey, there's a new show and there's new fans and
and it's already been like greenlit for a season number 2, like
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
stuff to talk about.
will that happen a year from now, or will that happen 2 years from now? Whoever knows with HBO. Because, like, God, Westworld, Westworld had this huge following, and then it just never happened, and never happened, and never happened, and then they finally just had a season, and it was so bad.
No one watched. Yeah, basically no one cared. It was bad.
So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, do I need to do the outro, or do you want to do it?
I can do it. I'll do it. Okay, so this has been Tara and I for bitching about stuff and things with the Bitching Dead. Thank you again for joining us. Please follow the Bitching Dead and the Geekery on Twitter. Remember, we are a free webcast run off of donations from viewers like you there, you. And also you, Scott Gimple, we know you're watching. Thanks for contributing and helping our host site, The Geekery. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.